hearing one on your end for me, but that's okay.
Oh.
Hi, everybody.
I don't think so. I don't hear an echo.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It is Sunday, July 31st. I cannot believe that tomorrow is August because it feels like the summer just started. I don't know if that's just me. Like, I feel like we just started our summer. But it's been a weird year, so.
It has been.
Yeah. But this is DoubleBookedCo's live discussion of our July read of Jenny Colgan's Welcome to Rosie Hopkin's Sweet Shop of Dreams, or if you have an American US version, it's just Sweet Shop of Dreams. And that's what we'll be discussing today. So as you jump online here, definitely say hello. I have baby G in the room with me, so she is just literally waking up. So you might hear her, and I might have to turn my camera off so that I can feed her shortly. So yeah, so we have that. Hello, Debbie. Nice to see you. Glad you could join us today.
Hi, Debbie.
Excited to chat with you about this book if you've read it. If not, that's okay. You can definitely hang out and listen to our discussion as well. But before we get into our actual discussion, Laura, why don't we talk a little bit about scheduling and what that looks like, our upcoming reads, our upcoming live shows, because for all of you out there, and some of you probably follow me on my own channel, I just posted an update, but our surgery schedule has completely changed. So we're kind of scrambling to get everything together. So I won't have any more videos uploaded on my own channel, and everything's kind of changing here. So we had to kind of switch up our schedule here with DoubleBookedCo. So Laura's going to go through everything that has kind of updated and how that's going to affect what our normal scheduling looks like. So if you want to go ahead and take that away, Laura.
Yep. Okay. What that means for us is that, so you don't hear an echo there? I hear an echo. Anyways.
I don't hear one.
No? Okay. I'm just going crazy then. Hi, everybody. Sorry. Welcome. I'm Laura. Okay, so it sort of makes our August schedule much more condensed, and there's just 2 dates for everything now versus this date for this and this date for this. It's a lot more together and streamlined. So after today, our next video will be on August 21st. Hi, Cool Gamer and Allie. So on that 21st video, we'll have our new releases for DoubleBookedCo. We will have results for the September book club, and we will also be doing productivity sprints as well. So that's going to be new products, results from the book club in the first half hour at 4 o'clock, and then roughly half an hour later when we're done productivity sprints. I know we'll go over the book club again, but it'll just be all that on the 21st. And then on the 28th, we'll have our live discussion for August's title, which is Big Little Lies. So for book club titles then for September, which seems weird to talk about now, I'm going to give them out now, and we're going to go through the descriptions now, and we'll have stuff up on our websites, on our channels later today or tomorrow for Dani and I, and also then you can please comment in this live show underneath. So the theme for September is sort of adventure-ish, adventure thriller-y. Not sure how else to say it. So the first one, I don't have a physical copy of, but it's pretty much anywhere. You can probably get it for free online somewhere. It's Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. There are several movie adaptations. There was a fairly recent PBS adaptation here in the States this past January. So there's a movie. You guys want to watch the movie for that. But roughly, this was published in French and English in 1873. So the intrepid adventurer Phileas Fogg of London, along with his French valet Passepartout, attempt to circumnavigate the world in 80 days on a 20,000-pound wager set by his friends at the Reform Club. Their trip is further complicated by Phileas becoming a suspect in a robbery. Can they make it in time? So this is a great balloon race, essentially. Land, air, sea. Classic. This edition I'm looking at on Amazon right now is 252 pages, so it's not terribly long. And like you said, thrift stores maybe, but libraries for sure. Probably Gutenberg Press. I would assume it's out of copyright. Should be easy to get your hands on. So that's our first option. Sorry?
And I found a couple of versions on Hoopla.
Oh, awesome.
So
Thanks for
ebook
checking.
and audio.
Awesome. Okay, our second one is Timeline by Michael Crichton with my thrift store stickers I never took off. This one also has a movie for all of you out there. Okay. Michael Crichton's new novel opens on the threshold of the 21st century. It is a world of exploding advances on the frontiers of technology. Information moves instantly between 2 points without wires or networks. We wish. Computers are built from single molecules. Any moment of the past can be actualized, and a group of historians can enter, literally, life in 14th century feudal France. Imagine the risks of such a journey. Not since Jurassic Park has Michael Crichton given us such a magnificent adventure. Barf. Here he combines the science of the future, the emerging field of quantum technology, with the complex realities of the medieval past. In a heart-stopping narrative, Timeline carries us into a realm of unexpected suspense and danger, overturning our most basic ideas of what is possible. So this is time jumping, time travel. I know I've seen the movie before when it first came out. It got a lot of bad press. I always liked it. My parents and I always liked it. Gerard Butler's in it. Who's the guy that died? Paul Walker is in it. Who else is in it? Anyways, I liked the movie. I thought it was pretty good. Just fun timeline stuff. And also, if any of you out there have read the St. Mary's series by Jodi Taylor that involves historians jumping into the past as well, it's a lot like that, it seems like. So this should be a lot of fun if it gets picked. Timeline, Michael Crichton. And then the last one is fairly new. My copy is from April of 2020. And that is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So, on a remote island off the coast of Ireland, guests gather to celebrate the wedding of Jules Keegan and Will Slater. Will is a rising television star, handsome and charming. Jules is a smart, ambitious magazine publisher. Though the sea is a little choppy and the cell service spotty, their wedding is everything you'd expect of a young power couple. Designer dress, 4-tiered cake, boutique whiskey, vintage champagne. Every detail has been curated to perfection. All that's left to orchestrate is the happiness. But perfection is for plans, and people are all too human. It's not long after the cake is cut and the champagne popped that resentments and petty jealousies come out. Worse yet, the latest barometer reading shows the weather has shifted from fair to changeable, and dark clouds are looming overhead. Everyone on the island has a secret, everyone has a motive, and someone won't leave this wedding alive. So, new, not so new, and very not new. But some thrillery, hopefully fun, end of summer madness with these books.
And so if you're looking for any of these audio and your library offers that Hoopla service, both Around the World in 80 Days as well as the guest list are available on Hoopla. So for me, I don't own either of those ones, so I'm going to get those on Hoopla if they're selected. Whereas Timeline, I do have a copy of that. So if you're looking for an audio, and I want to say anything they have available on audio, they also have on ebook, but don't quote me on that for the guest list. But I know for sure they have ebook and audio for Around the World in 80 Days.
Mm-hmm. So you'll have 3 weeks to vote on which one you'd like to read in 3 places: my channel, Dani's channel, and then here in the comment section. I look forward to reading all of them, quite frankly. They all sound good to me. So, yeah. Oh, I should say page numbers, roughly. So it was $250 for that edition I was looking at of Around the World in 80 Days. The guest list is just over 300. And Timeline, this is a hardcover copy, is around 400. like 4:30. So deceptively,
they all sound really exciting.
I know.
I would say I'm probably most interested in reading either Timeline or the Guest List just because they're more current.
Mhm.
However, because I do really love classics, I am interested also in reading the other one. So this one's an exciting round. I don't know. These ones are all very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be happy with whatever one we pick.
Me too. It's been a while since I've read Jules Verne, and
I was going to say, I don't think I've read anything by Jules Verne.
What is that? Journey to the Center of the Earth. I listened to that one because there's an audiobook narrated by Tim Curry, which was excellent.
Yes.
The book itself was kind of boring, I thought, but we're used to really great special effects in sci-fi movies and things, so I get it. But that was really, really good for audiobooks. But yeah, any of them I would be really happy to read.
Oh, sorry.
Life is tough.
I took her bottle because I repositioned her. So
yeah. How dare you?
I know, how dare me. So I'm kind of excited for next month's round. I think any of those would be great, and I like how they're all exciting, but they're all in a different kind of platform. Like they're not like the same thing. They're all different kinds of excitement. So
yeah.
And like you said, it's like old, like newer, but newest, So yeah, very cool. Okay.
I know.
Well, so we're gonna be skipping basically what we would traditionally have, which would be in 2 weeks, which would be the 7th, I think.
Oh, that's
we're gonna
next
skip
week.
that one altogether, and then go right past to the next week, the next round, which will be the 21st. So you won't see us until the 21st. So a little bit of a break. During that time, we will also have our Etsy shop on vacation mode. We're not taking vacation, but that's what it's called on the other underbelly of Etsy. So it'll just mean we won't be able to push out any orders, and you won't be able to place any orders during that time. And that'll shut off actually as of tomorrow. Or excuse me. Yes, tomorrow. I think that's what we said.
Yeah, tomorrow's the 1st.
Yeah, so the 1st through until basically I know I'm coming home and I'm going to be there. So I do apologize for that abrupt kind of end there. And I haven't posted anything about that. I apologize. I will do that later this afternoon or evening. And then we will get the orders out that we have now, of course. But we won't be accepting any new orders until I'm home again. So hopefully that doesn't affect anyone. So that'll just be as of basically tonight at 11:59 a.m. And of course, she is being kind of a silly girl with her food today. So she's not just taking it easily. So yay for multitasking. So let's go ahead and talk about this month's book, which is our Jenny Colgan's Welcome to Rosie Hopkin's Sweet Shop of Dreams. And as always, we like to kind of talk about our ratings in the book, what we think about the book, because sometimes in a live discussion, that is the one question we always forget to ask. And by the time we're done, it's been a little bit too long anyways. So as far as you feel about the book, I know you read it pretty quickly in the beginning after our reading sprints. How do you feel about the rating of the book overall for your liking?
Yeah, I read this in less than 24 hours. I was finished by 11 a.m. that next Monday. I just couldn't stop reading. I gave this a 4. I mean, I just love Jenny Colgan. She's one of my comfort authors, and just easy reading. You're just there with her and wherever she's doing. Yeah, 4. It's not the best thing I've ever read. It's not the worst, but it's extremely readable, and Rosie, like most of her main characters, are very relatable. I liked this setting and everything. So, yep, very easy, 4-star, enjoyable read for me. How about you? This is your first Jenny Colgan. I'm curious.
Yeah. So I also gave it a 4. And primarily because I like books that have layers. So I like that you're building a town and you're getting to know all of the people in the town, not only in current day, but like the generation. So you kind of see like what the town was before and what it's kind of come to. And I really liked all the references that Lillian made to like, oh, I remember when you were little and you liked these sweets and you know all that. So I did like the complexity of the characters that were not just only the main characters. And I liked that there were so many. I think it was a perfect amount. There weren't too many that you couldn't keep track of anybody. But there was just enough that you felt like the story wasn't getting old with, you know, just Rosie and whoever her love interest was, or just Lillian and her dual timeline. I like the different features in the book. And for a first time reader, I thought it, like you said, was really easy to read. I actually switched over to the audiobook, and the audiobook is fantastic.
Nice.
The narrator really brings the characters to life. So thank you, Amy, for sending me a little message and letting me know that it is a good audiobook, because right after that I was like, okay, I'm just going to switch over. I'm not even going to try to, you know, keep reading this physically. But yeah, the audiobook, I really liked it. I thought the narrator did a really excellent job. She does a lot of like the accents and whatnot. And there's a little boy in the book that I really like, and I thought she did a good job with him. And just overall, I thought it was a good audio book. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so 4 stars. I mean, and I didn't do any of my like typical, I'm just going to turn my camera off here for a second. I didn't do any of my usual like, oh, content or writing style, or, you know, I just did a blanket, like, this is my enjoyment level of this book. And I mean, I really liked it. I really feel like I was there with them, which is, I think, a big deal in books. So I think that's always important. How did everyone else feel in the comments here? It looks like, oh, oh no, Debbie, nope. I've got plenty of time. We're not leaving until later in the week, so I'm going to be filling all those tonight and tomorrow. So you're all good. No worries. Thank you so much. And then it looks like Amy gave the book. If you want to read that for me.
Yeah. Sorry, as I choke. Give the book 3.5 stars. Really liked how atmospheric it was. Wasn't a fan of Rosie at all times. Understand. And I don't get her realizing the doctor was homosexual because he was wearing mustard pants. Yeah. I didn't get that Moray was gay either. Like, until they said it. I was like, oh, okay. Because he seemed like he was flirting with her quite a bit. But yeah, I guess mustard pants, I don't know. 10 years ago, that would have been more of a sign, I suppose. Though I've noticed, I don't know if any of you have noticed this too, like British men tend to dress much more colorfully than American men would. Like wearing a floral pattern shirt is not a big deal. Wearing like pink or purple is not a big deal in the UK. And here, it's all like, oh, Macho He-Man, you can't wear that. There's always some kind of stupid joke, usually. Either that or I just know a bunch of ding-dongs, which is very possible too. But yeah, the mustard pant thing might tip me off as well, I suppose, you know?
Now, I remember too, so I'm just thinking about things that kind of put us off about the book. Like, I remember when we were doing our reading sprints, you had mentioned that it might be dated. What were the lines that you felt that came from? I know you and Angela were talking about something with the nurse. Like, I didn't catch those things, and maybe that's because I was reading it kind of in different formats. But what were the comments made that you felt made this a dated work?
Mostly in how she talked to and treated her patients, even though she was just an auxiliary nurse or a trainee nurse or temporary nurse, however you want to translate that here in the States. It's mostly how she handled them and like beliefs on like diabetic things and things. It's nothing massive, but it's sort of like, oh, it's not accurate anymore. And like how she used, I forget the people's names. I'm terrible with names in books, y'all. But the gentleman who was heavier and his wife, he was trying to get to be 500 pounds or something. And then she was like reverse psychology, doing that with him to try and get him to move around some more and come into the chocolate shop in person and try and get him to not want to do that anymore and be more active. That was a little hinky and from a professional standpoint. If it was like a personal one, I mean, do whatever. But just professionally, it was a little like, I don't know if that would work. I mean, it worked for him, but that's not how it would be done now. And dealing with some of Steven's stuff too. She was instantly, the thing I noticed with her is she was instantly really intensely concerned. I'm going to say passionate, but not romantic passion, but just passionate about this younger guy getting out and doing something and not feeling sorry for himself, this posh idiot, up by himself in this house. But she was way too invested, like immediately. Gotcha. And the way that Maury talked about him, like he's some big bad wolf, and it's really just this scared, lonely guy who's really injured and feeling badly about himself, understandably. So that was a little harsh too on like the town and Maury's part. But then have her be so over the top of like, oh no, gotta do this, and that was a little iffy too. There's something else too, but it was mostly that stuff. Like it might have been okay then, and it's not terrible now, but it's just not how it would be done.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree with you with like she seemed very, I don't want to use the word nosy, but it seemed like she was just way too involved with a lot of the patients immediately. I think the man who was a little bit overweight, or a lot of it overweight, whatever it came about to being, but I think his name is Arthur.
Maybe that's Arthur.
Yeah. But I felt that was always weird, like, oh, maybe you only have one of each. And I was like, maybe something sugar-free?
Right.
Like, I don't see how that's helpful, other than because if he comes in now every day, he's still getting probably too much of what he shouldn't already be having. Mm-hmm. So
it's still a step in the right direction, but
right. Yeah. Or when he was explaining when he was only having one of each, and it was like 1 fish and chips today, 1 fish and chips tomorrow. And not I'm only bringing this up because I'm thinking of it right now, but I wonder why when Gerard was there and they were at the pub, why they called chips and not crisps.
Because that was strange too.
Because they yeah, you gonna talk now too? They call chips crisps, and they call French fries chips. So it was really confusing to me because I was like, wait, is he eating chips or is he eating French fries? Or is he eating, I don't understand. And then when she said bags of chips, I was like, oh, okay, so they're actually like what we call chips.
Right.
Because then later they said that they were going to get fries because they were like arguing about scampi and fries. And I was like, why are they calling them fries? They're chips, technically.
Right.
If this is a British author and this is a British published book, I mean, but I wonder too if in this copy, if it said crisps and in the audio.
It said chips.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, because I remember thinking, huh?
Yeah, it's very confusing. Very confusing. Yeah. It
That's
looks like.
I remember. Anyways.
Yeah. So it looks like Debbie had a little bit of a combo as well with audio and digital, and would give it a 3.5. Did enjoy it. I'm wondering, for anyone who read, do you think you'll continue into the second or the third of these books? Looks like Allie doesn't do star ratings, but give it like a 3-star.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure it represents your personal experience and enjoyment. So, Allie, for someone like you who doesn't typically read books like this, what is your take on it? Do you go, oh, this is silly?
Mm-hmm.
Or does it spark anything like, oh, maybe read something like this in the future? Or are you just like, yeah, one and done. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to move on from this. Amy getting mad at Phil for not hitting her when she was supposed to be his nurse. Oh, hitting on her. Yes. But this really screams like small British, Midsummer Murders, like not the murder part, but everything's so small and like it doesn't matter who you are, it all just works out in the end kind of thing. Like any little British show I've ever seen, it doesn't matter who they are. It's like, I don't know if that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But totally, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that party.
And then, and that's what I thought, Allie. So was I reading a U.S. version of the book? I was listening to the audiobook, but Laura does have the British copy, which I do have physically as well, and that is in there.
I'll try and find the chapter if I can while we're talking. But I'm pretty sure they said chips, and I was confused by that. When they said bag of chips, and I was like, don't you mean crisps?
Yeah. I mean, I'm American, and I'm not going to say I know everything about, the UK. However, I know a lot. Yeah. And I know that it's crisps.
At least we know that,
yeah. Yeah. Angela, you DNF. Laura said that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, no, I don't think she did. Because I think you said that in the Voxer group, and I think I thought that you had DNF'd your sewing project, your quilting project, but no, you did. Huh. Well, that's good that you enjoyed trying it. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's always nice to
this is the DoubleBookedCo DNF group. So we definitely encourage DNFing on books that don't make sense to you.
Very much do.
Yes. Okay, so let's pop into our first real question of the book, which some of these we may have already touched on a little bit because that's how we roll. But let's talk about Rosie a little bit. In her shoes, would you make the same decisions? Would you go and help a family member in the country, kind of leaving your life behind? Would you stay as long as she stayed? Take over the sweet shop? How would you do it differently, or would you do it the same?
Oh, I mean, I would for sure go to the country. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Take over the shop. That would be really fun. I would doubt myself the entire time because that's me, but I would like to give it a go. And I don't know about going after Steven or not. I'm a real wimp. And I got burned a long time ago, and I'm afraid to try again. So I think it'd be cool just hanging out with Murray. What about
you? So I would go because I would feel immense guilt for not helping out a family member. So I would definitely be there. And once I was there, I think the same thing would happen to me like it happened to Rosie, where you just kind of fall in love with everything. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if I had actually been in love with Gerard, if that was an actual serious relationship that was actually working, I would have a hard time staying. I would want to go back to my life, or convince them to move to the country. Right. But heck yeah, I would take over a sweet shop. And Edison has it right, man. Turn that into a bookstore. Mm-hmm. You start with one book, you just need to add a couple more.
Yep.
So yeah, I would definitely I think was it Tina mentioned bringing in little bit of souvenirs and stuff as well and make it a whole thing. I'm yeah, I would totally do that. I think that would be so fun. I love going into those old-fashioned candy stores. There is an old-fashioned candy store when you go to the Dells. I don't know if you've been to that one, Laura. It's on the very end of the Main Street, and it's huge.
It's probably about 20 years.
Yeah, me either. I haven't been there in forever, but I will always remember that candy shop. And there's several others that make fudge and all that kind of stuff. And I just love going in there. Even if I don't buy anything, it's just so fun to look at all the old candies and all that. So definitely something I would do. Would I go after Steven? No, I don't think I would have. I would have been too afraid. It would have very much been like a Lillian situation, except there's more men in the sea. I mean, quite frankly. Like, so I don't think that I would have gone to the extent that she did. Though you can understand it once you hear the entirety of her story. But yeah, when Rosie said, well, isn't he supposed to come after me? I'm like, yes, he is, because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done a dang thing this entire course of whatever. So yes, he should come after you. He should do something. I mean, he let his friends laugh at you. He let you think that he was with that Cece girl. I mean, he's done nothing. He's just been complacent. And anywho, that's in our next question. But what about everyone in the comments here? What did you guys have to say? Let's see here. Yes, Angela, you are. I think every single member of this group has DNF'd at least one book throughout the course of our reading. So congratulations. Okay, so Amy would have gone to help family members, but would have left Gerard in the dust. He is a tool.
He is a tool.
And at the very end, she's so nice. She's so nice about him, and I'm just like, why are you being so nice about this toady? Like,
I know.
Like, yeah, we'll get into him soon. And it looks like Debbie would also do. She would do that if she was in Rosie's situation. Yeah. Absolutely. Don't think it's silly at all. I can see why many people would love this book, but my reading interest slew to the dark side. You don't read many feel-good books. Okay. Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
Would have dumped Gerard as soon as he started making Rosie feel guilty about how difficult it would be for him. Yeah, he was such a toady. Like, no compassion whatsoever. Like, what if it would have been your mother? Like, right? You're so into her. Yeah, I know. You found your voice today, huh? And then Allie also brings up, this is the type of book where one knows it'll be happy good after it. Yeah. You don't really like knowing where you're going. This life isn't about that. That's very true. That's very true. That's how I feel about, like, when I read any kind of, like, romance novel. I'm always like, but this really is so stupid because you know they're going to end up together.
Yeah.
But in this one, I really didn't even know. I'm like, who is she going to end up with? Because there's, like, 4 people here. Like, I was like, I don't even know. So that was kind of...
Go ahead.
No, so that was kind of interesting. It was a different way of seeing it. So
yeah, like, I spoiled it for myself by reading the flap for the second book. So I was like, what this person? Because I was halfway through this book when it was like, oh, well, she and Steven, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, huh? Because I don't think they were really mad at that point, or it was just that one first meeting.
Yeah.
And I didn't see how it was going to happen, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like a Florence Nightingale thing. Like, was it even a thing? And you had these other guys that were showing all this interest, and I was like, I'm confused. Like, there are too many men involved here. Way too many men. Yes, boot to door.
Absolutely.
So speaking of all these men, let's go ahead and talk about the men in Rosie's life. What do we think about them? Obviously, we all have our feelings about Gerard. He is an idiot. Mama's boy, just toady.
Grown-up child.
Total toad. Yeah. My one issue with Jenny Colgan on this character, though, is, and I get it, but I don't like it. She made it okay for him to be a complete, like, mama's boy. Because even when she describes him in his new relationship, now this new woman is totally taking care of him, and Rosie's just all like, oh, I'm so happy for him, and he did deserve my love, and blah, 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 blah. And he was so gracious in giving me half of our homes, whatever. And I'm like, no. That's how it works. When you buy a house together and you sell that house, you are meant to do 50-50. Depending, I mean, you could say, oh, well, you put so much down and I put so much down, and then maybe that percentage would change. But just because you break up with someone doesn't mean like, oh, well, now you forfeit everything.
Right.
So he was so gracious to give her half or whatever. That irritated me because I feel like that was somehow suggesting that she didn't deserve her share of the more, like, I just didn't think that was right, because from my understanding is they probably lived a pretty like half and half kind of life. I don't really see how how he did anything more than her. I feel like if anything, he did like the bare flat 50-50 minimum. So I didn't really like that for the Gerard, I don't know how they say it, character. What about you? Any thoughts on Gerard? Any more thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much just like you. I mean, he's a word that I can't say right now on this live show. Starts with a T. And he's not a bad person. He just has never had to grow up and have consequences for not growing up. And his mother is happy to have him stay this adult child that he is. And he wants Rosie to keep doing that. Of course, she's not willing. She doesn't see it that way, of course, because thinks she's in love with him and whatever. But, you know, I don't know. I just felt like this relationship is over. You know, it's not 50-50. It is like 90-10. And like the very basic minimum that he does for stuff does not equate a good relationship, you know? So I was just annoyed, like, girl, get out. What are you doing? He's not a bad person, but just really immature.
Yeah.
So,
well, and in that final like description of him and everything, it almost made it seem like the author was trying to say like, oh, like what they were trying to do is say Rosie wasn't, like, they weren't right for each other, but it made it seem like Rosie wasn't right for what he needed. Instead of like mutually, like they weren't the right people for one another. But it really, like, I felt like it really was a strong emphasis on the side of, like Rosie was not the right person to iron his shirts and make him beans and what's any of those things. So what she said.
Yeah.
So I really didn't like that. And being a female author, I was kind of, whenever I see where like you're kind of putting down a female character, I'm just kind of like, come on now, like we're part of a team here. We're trying to keep each other keeping us alive here, and you're like kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt, right? Yeah. It looks like Amy, that irritated her too. You know, he was doing absolute bare minimum. Yeah. I mean, he wouldn't really, like, it took him how long to even go and visit her? Like,
she had to twist his arm.
Yeah. And then when he was there, like, yeah, he didn't even like say hello to the aunt, or, you know, his main thing was to get to the bar or the pub to, you know, have his fish and chips or whatever. So, yeah. So what about, you know, so Rosie comes into this new town and she first meets Morey, and then she meets, oh my gosh, what was his name? John?
The farmer guy? Yeah, I think it was John.
Jacob? Someone with a J. The other
I should
guy.
have taken notes.
Oh my goodness. I just finished this like today. I think his name was John
I have a terrible
Jacob.
memory, and I read it a month ago.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, maybe?
His name is my name too. That's right. That's right. Jake. It's Jake.
Jack. There we go. It's Jack. Yes, Amy, you're correct. He probably just wanted to get laid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jack. Perfect. So Maury, like we said before, I did not catch any kind of indication that he was gay, and I was especially kind of like, what? When she picked up on his gayness from his clothing, which I felt was kind of ridiculous because, like you said, and I've been overseas, fashion overseas is way more open than anything else. And the fact that they were going somewhere fancy, like this market thing, where they're doing like prizes and stuff, it would make sense to dress a little bit more flashy. So I was like, really? Like, that's how you've confirmed that he's gay? Like, what? That's it? So, because, I mean, like she said, and like you said too, like, I thought he was hitting on her. Like, in a friendly way. Like, not a forceful way. Like, it was more friendly and, like, pulling to her attributes because they kind of were in the same career.
Yeah.
And then Jack was like really forceful, like, hey, you have a boyfriend, who cares? Let's play with pigs. You know, like,
let's go mess around. Yeah.
So I thought it was just trying to do like a juxtaposition between like someone who's very flirty and more, subdued, and then the other one that's kind of forceful. And I really thought they were gonna be like, it's gonna be between the two of them. And then when you had the Steven come through, I was just like, who's this guy?
Yeah. No one gets that lucky in real life, it seems like. I mean, really. Who goes anywhere and there's 3 cute guys who are all nice to you?
In the country, of all places.
Yeah. It wouldn't happen here in the city. I can tell you that. The one of them being like a big old creepy pervert or something, I would just...
Right. Let's see. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna put up some of these comments here.
Okay. Two couples are working out for life and understand one party puts up with the behavior of the other. No, I know people like that too. It's just mind-boggling. But then that's why you aren't with a person like that at the same time, It's not supposed to be. But it's interesting. I mean, I think almost everyone I know who is a couple like that, they don't last just because it's too big of a divide for whatever reason. And sometimes something happens to make one or the other notice something and change and go, this is it, I'm out. And sometimes it's just a gradual thing, or it's something that you wouldn't expect for a reason would happen. And that would be like, oh, then I'm out now too. But yeah, that's really true. It's really true. I know. Someone like me. Yes. I forgot about that part too, Amy. Good thing you're here. That's really, really true. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I don't know what it's like in the UK. Allie, if you can speak to this at all, I know you don't live there currently, but you are British. Yeah, I always thought it was not as big of a deal anywhere else that's not here in the States, essentially, or in the developing world. Excuse me, it's something that's very religious, Yeah. Poor Murray. He was so nice. He is so nice. I'm talking about he didn't die. He's so nice. Oh, man.
Right. Okay. Yes. And then, so what about Steven? How do we feel about him? At first we just know that he's this somewhat invalid and stuck in his home, very, very depressed, has an injury, but we're not sure what it's about. And and then later finding out that he is literally the county's lord. You know, so what do we think about his character?
I know it made sense why he'd be depressed and why he'd have such a hard time adjusting to life at home, especially if his brother, who was the golden boy essentially, and then he's now gone, so he tries to sort of fill in his shoes, and then this happens, and I totally get it. I think I'd feel the same way. I hope I wouldn't sulk quite as much, and I would be a little more open with people, but I don't know. I get it. It makes sense to me. I understand it, but I don't know. I just think it makes him more human, more realistic than just I'm a jerk for no real reason just because I didn't get something my way, like pouting like Gerard would pout over something. You know, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
He had big stuff he was dealing with, but I don't know. I love him. You know, what do you think? I'll let your child.
I think I need to go and tell my husband to.
Yeah. Oh man, what do you guys think about Stephen as a person? I don't know. And his mom, what's his mom's name again? It's some crazy nickname. I swear, you guys, sometimes I read so fast that nothing really registers. I just have enjoyed it so much, and I could describe the character of the person, but not the name for it, like to save my life. It's terrible. But, you know, his mom, whatever her name is. I can't find it. That she is the way she is, you know, kind of gruff, but she's been through it as well. And I don't know. I mean, losing a son, that's terrible. I don't know. What do you guys think about Stephen? As I try and vamp here with access to nothing but the screen. Oh, man. Allie, I know you don't normally read light fare like this, but would you be open to reading lighter things in the future because of this? I'm guessing maybe, but maybe with DNF. I'm guessing. Lady something. Yes, that's her name. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
Didn't love Stephen. Okay.
something with an H. Hetty.
Yeah. Hetty, maybe, was it?
Henrietta.
All I can think of is the bouquet of residence.
Yeah, Lady Lipton.
Which is not the same thing.
It's Lady Lipton.
Lipton.
But because that's the town.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it's Hetty, like Henrietta or something like that.
I don't know.
Regardless, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, he did not act well after the aftermath of the spicy game. Yep.
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was laughing. Well, maybe he kind of. I don't think he was laughing, but he was like, "Oh no, stay!" Like as if that would be an okay situation.
I think he was kind of awkwardly chuckling, like trying to get his friends to be like, "Calm down, it's not a big deal," but also to be her like, "Oh, this is really awkward. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna laugh."
Right. Right. Personally, I don't see how there was any connection.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only time that they were together was when she was caring for him and making the meals for him and trying to get him to, you know, show her his wound. So, like, seriously, all should have been professional. So I'm not quite sure when they were supposed to have fallen in love with one another.
Right.
So it's very much the Florence Nightingale thing. And I didn't feel like that was an appropriate love interest. I mean, it would have been different if after the fact they had more interactions that were actually like interactions that were meaningful. like going to coffee or doing things where they actually talked about things that weren't I'm depressed and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
Like I didn't feel like I didn't feel like there was any time for them to be, and I just didn't get it. I was like, what? You're in love with him? From when? When did
Yeah.
you interact with him that was so amazing that you all of a sudden love him? It didn't make
It's
any
got to
sense to me.
be, yeah, it's got to be a chemistry thing where like you can't explain it. It's just like you just feel it. And also, all their interactions were pretty much just the two of them. I think Murray saw them maybe once, maybe. But then there's the insinuation that makes it sound more sinister than it actually is. But like everyone, like, oh yeah, it's clear you have a crush on him. It's clear you really like Steven. And it's like, who is seeing them together? His stupid
Mm-hmm.
friends who don't really care and they're all crass jerks. And then maybe Maury that one time. So I didn't get why everyone was like, oh yeah, of course, blah blah blah. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't get that at all. And then the Jake or Jack, whatever we're calling him, I thought he was going to be the love interest because
Me
he was
too.
so exciting and trying to get her to ride the bike and like trying to just get out of her comfort zone. And I felt like that's what she needed, was to get out of her comfort zone and experience life and enjoy life and, you know, have fun and take in the fresh air and get out into the country. And I feel like he was a better fit. I mean, up until later, where then it was like clearly like he was like way too much out of her comfort zone. But I don't know. I feel like falling in love with a patient essentially is just not the kind of love interest that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really keen on their whole thing. And that's why still enjoying the book was really due to the fact of everything else that the book had with the other characters. Okay, so let's see here. So, Allie, definitely try other feel-good stuff, but probably only part of the book club. Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought.
I think it's an interesting question. Reading for comfort, yes or no?
That's pretty much mostly what I do, is to like distract myself, get out of my brain. I want to enjoy what I'm reading. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for fiction, yes. I don't like to read fiction that is uncomfortable because I don't like, I mean, mysteries and stuff, like thrillers and stuff, that's different. But like, I don't like reading a book that is like really gruesome or whatever like that. But like a nonfiction book, some of them do make me feel uncomfortable, but I appreciate them more because I'm learning something. So I'm okay to be pushed out of my comfort zone a little bit then, but not for a fiction book. I won't read a fiction book if it starts to really make me feel like then I turn it off. I'm like, nope, don't want this. But that is an interesting question. I didn't love. Yeah, I didn't like it as an interest. And I think I got totally turned off when all of his friends showed up after they just did it. And he was like not trying to help at all. Like, at all.
I have his friends be like, hey, can you guys, anything,
Yeah.
anything.
Like, stop, stay outside for a second, nothing. And like, she's in this apron, which I don't know, in the US, aprons do not have backsides. So if you're wearing an apron and what was it, like a dress coat or something that was too short, is what she mentioned. I was like, so is her bare backside? She's not wearing any panties because Cece tried to give her panties. And I'm like, this is terrible. This is actually terrible. And it speaks very upstairs, downstairs, I feel like, in a lot of ways. Unconsciously so for him because he is of that like status. So to him, he doesn't even see the difference. But to her, because she's not a lord or a lady, there's the obvious like, hello, like my dignity is at risk here. And I didn't appreciate that scene. So I lost a lot of respect for him in that moment, because I'm just like, really, like, you guys are in love with each other and you're gonna allow that to happen to her. I just didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. So yeah. And then for Steven, felt like the most upset about his dad being proven right. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So as far as since we're kind of talking about, I'm going to skip the next question and we'll come back to it. But what are we thinking about the love and the love scenes in the book? We kind of already talked about the love part. We didn't really, I mean, at least for me, I didn't really feel like it was justified between the two of them. But let's talk about this love scene. Now, Laura and I, we read a lot of romance. Well, I don't read as much as you do. I used to read a lot more. And I'm not a stranger to scenes that involve the spicy. I've read all sorts of romance, from all behind closed doors to a little bit steamy to extremely spicy, and I know you have too. So for this one, I would call this a behind closed doors-ish, because there was no mention of any body parts or any real explicitness. But technically, it wasn't, like, they didn't just go and do it. I mean, it kind of explains it in a very muffled kind of way. What did you think about the love scene?
That was kind of awkward. I mean, you and I talked about this just before we went live, but to have her kiss his wound as the first thing that they do to start this off seemed real uncomfortable to me. Like, that's a jump too much. If it was, if the whole thing was more caring and it started out a little bit slower, I could see where that would be involved at some point, you know. But to have that be the first thing, it was sort of like, oh, okay. And then it went back to being like more traditional kissing, whatever. I thought that was kind of strange. And I mean, I get why she did it, because she wanted him to like realize that she really doesn't care about that and not to be self-conscious and stuff, like all that blah blah, I understand. But it was sort of like, that's a strange first move. And it's not like it was on his wrist. It's near her swimsuit area. You know, it's not like, I don't know. That was a little strange. What about you?
It was a lot of strange. I was really like, while it was happening, I was like, what? Like, I felt like for her to have done that, because when, like, literally starts with her kneeling down and unbuttoning and unzipping his trousers, like that's what it says, and then she finds his wound or whatever, and then kisses the top of where the stitches, the scar starts. And I'm thinking, that is a pretty intimate move for two people who don't know each other than being a nurse and patient, and never have kissed before, never have gone out before, nothing. For her to have done that is a very, very, very intimate thing. Very, very intimate. And I could see that happening like the second time in a romance novel, like the second time that they get together. Like the first time, very passionate, bodies slammed together. It's all in a, heat of the moment kind of thing. And then the second time, when they have more time and more time to explore, those things, we've read enough romance novels to know that's usually the way it goes. But for it to be all slammed into one, like the heat of the moment and this real intimate moment as well, I felt like it was really poorly done. It creeped me out. I felt like it was very uncalled for. And then to be followed up by the raucous, like, group of people coming in and totally just taking all of those feelings away, I felt like it was the worst love scene I've ever read in a book. Like, ever. And that's saying a lot because I've read a lot of really bad love scenes.
I can recommend you some stuff. That's terrible.
So it just, yeah, it just doesn't, it didn't do it for me. I really didn't like it. I felt it was really cringy. I didn't think it was appropriate. I thought it was weird. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Yeah, I think it would have been better to just skip that part and then do the whole where he grabs her up onto the chair, and I think the only actual like word they use is grinding. And I wasn't even sure if they were actually having sex because I was like, so she's keeping us in the room on this. She's not really explaining anything. So I'm not really sure if they're just making out or if they're doing it until she like yells at somebody about how she shagged him or something. And I was like, oh, so they did have sex. So yeah. There's that. I thought it was, no, it wasn't a good one. But that's just me. It looks like Amy has left us. Good luck at the club. I think they're talking about the other sister or something like that this time. I think that's what she's on. I think Allie is still talking about comfort. Oh, we're going to talk about Lillian's timeline in just a moment. Does predictable? I think it's a form of comfort, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe Colgan was being a little bit. Yes. And I think that's exactly what she was doing. It's exactly what she was doing. But it wasn't the right time. And it's not the right time. They don't even know each other. It's not cool. I thought it was super weird. I didn't like it. Did not like it at all. So let's switch gears. Did you have anything to add on that?
No, I just thought the whole thing seemed awkward. There's just a pace and like to have them from nothing go to ready to have sex, and then have that to be the first move, which is really intimate and caring and tender, and then it's still on the kitchen table, and then the friends come in, and then she leaves awkwardly. Like it was all just sort of clunky and weird, and it just felt weird.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was bad. It's not the worst thing I have read by a long shot, but yeah, not great.
Yeah. So then we're kind of coming back to the previous question, which was about Lillian and her dual timeline, how that played a role in the story. I know Allie just mentioned that was her favorite part of the book, was her 1940s storyline, because you didn't know where it was going, at least initially. Absolutely. And I think because you get so little of Lillian in the current timeline, it was nice to see and be in her head in the past. But you knew it wasn't going to end well because, you knew where she was in the current time. So you knew something was going to crush that little dream. I always thought it was going to be he was going to go off to war and die. But when they kept talking about how like the farmers had to stay, I was like, oh good, well he's a farmer, so he'll have to stay. So I wonder what else will happen. I'm not quite sure I like what happened. Like, oh, you left me at a dance, so I just had sex with this other chick to practice.
Yeah.
So that when you and I got together, it would be perfect. If that's what you call love, please do not love me.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but I mean, it is what it is. I feel like that is a little bit more real life. I think people do stupid things. But I was kind of like, really? Like, you had to go there? And for all us people who sometimes it takes a while to get pregnant, I'm sick of all these books and stuff being like, it just took one time. Like that perfect moment. Um, yeah, I don't know. But so let's talk a little bit more about Lillian and her timeline. I mean, kind of similar to the question about Rosie. I mean, would you do the same thing she did? I mean, put all your eggs in one basket and then let that be your story?
Yeah, I think honestly, but and I would. I feel like I have in my own life in a way. Like I really feel like I am Lillian in a lot of ways. So that seems very realistic. You know, she's there with her family. It's a small town. London is far away. Everything's far away. You're just trying to recover after the war, after being dealt with these two big losses, and your brother comes home and leaves, and you're stuck with your father. Like you can't leave your father. That's not an option. You have to stay with him and help him and run the shop. And who cares about love and heartbreak when there's people that you know and love that need your support and caring? So yeah, I totally. I really liked it though. I liked how it played out. I thought it was stupid, like you said. Like, really, this other girl who's conventionally pretty is all over you, and you're such a dope that you're like, oh, I'll just sleep with her and get it over with, and it'll be better than for Lillian. Like, no. I mean, I can see his thinking as a man from the 40s, but yeah, I was like, no, that's not what you do. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I relate to Lillian hardcore. How about you?
Yeah. I don't know that I can relate as well as you can,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say she's probably one of my favorite characters in the book because I feel like her story was more genuine in a way. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I just feel like Rosie was just all over the place and very disjointed, and she wasn't accepting what was in front of her. Like the whole Gerard thing, I was like, the entire book, all you do is talk about how he can't do anything on his own. He's been dragging his feet. And there was no real passion behind there. It was almost like, well, I would marry him if he asked me because, like, that's what we're supposed to do because we've been together for 7
Right.
years. And I'm just like, but that's not a reason to get married. In fact, it's not even a reason to stay with him. It's not even a reason to have a house with him. Like, it just all felt very like it's just happening because it's happening. Like, oh, we just sit around and, eat our meals in front of the TV and sweatpants and pajamas. And so I felt like she knew that it was all wrong, but she was just going with it. And I can't stand that. I don't know.
Yeah.
The complacency is just really annoying. But I felt like even though Lillian's story was supposed to be very similar, um, I feel like it wasn't complacency that was the reason why she chose the things that she chose. She was still doing things. She was still living her life. Like she said, she lied. I did have a good life.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Rosie wouldn't have if she would have just continued to be lame,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I really liked Lillian. I really felt like she had a lot of good attributes, and I felt really bad like when she fell and everything. Like I was like, oh, poor Lillian. I was really hoping that she'd be able to stay, but in the end, how they got it all figured out as far as what would happen, I was really happy with what was available to her. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. I was a little nervous about how that was going to shake out, because that place is not big enough for both Rosie and Lillian to live in, and it's not really set up for Lillian to keep living there, clearly. So, yeah, I'm glad that it worked out.
Oh, Allie's copy of the book says crisps.
I saw crisps once, and then I saw chips once. But then again, that was when we were doing this thing, and I wasn't like reading, I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
just opened up to the chapter. Let me see if mine says that because I listened to the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
And that could very well have been Americanized.
Jake. Yeah, I mean, this is a UK version because it's got euros on the back.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, while I'm looking at this, I think Lillian character quite realistic, especially given the time, the place. Yeah, it's not uncommon for sure. Oh yeah, here, crisps and chips. Yeah, and some crisps. Yeah, so mine says crisps. But in the audiobook, it never said crisps. Kept saying chips and French fries. Or maybe not French, but fries, at least. It said fries. But yeah, this one is saying crisps and chips. Yes. That's good to know. Let's see here. Debbie says the one part that surprised her is Lillian had a fling with her neighbor's husband with her friend's knowledge. I was like, what? When she said that, and I was like, did I just hear that right?
Yeah.
Like, and then because then she said, oh, are you Stephen's mother? And I was like, I did hear that right. But you know, as many times as we see these shows, I mean, it's not uncommon because, quite frankly, the Lord and Lady probably weren't married because of love. It was probably some kind of like, you two are suited and you're of the certain stature of, you know, family history, so you're going to get married. So
well, look at Stephen and what's her face too. Same kind of thing. They're supposed to be getting married because they're in the same class.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he sure was. Yeah. Right. So has a sense of herself, and yeah, absolutely. So we're past the hour mark, and I apologize. There's a little bit of my baby G's fault, and mostly my husband's fault for falling asleep. But yeah. I think for what we have left in questions, anybody else really loved the little Edison character? I really liked him a lot. He was super cute. I think his mom is a total dingbat. So if anyone has anything to say about that. And then the sweets introductions. So at the beginning of each chapter, there is like a little bolded section or piece that was all coming from Lillian's self-published book. And I think the best one is the beginning of chapter 18, and I'm going to find it because I'm going to read it to y'all because it's the best. It's the best one. I actually really liked these because as a person who is used to calling sweets candy, I really enjoyed hearing about the different confectionaries and why they are good, or you know, whatever else you wanted to say about them. And so this is the chapter 18. This is liqueurs, and it says something unexpected on the inside is always welcome. This can go too far. Witness the, and then it's blacked out because it's a brand, I think, of liqueur candies. So it's been blacked out in my copy of the book, which I'm sure all copies. And it says a chocolate, was it nonce yet? I don't know. I listened to the other book, so I probably should know what that word is. But product clearly marketed for whores, by whores, and bought only by professional whores. Or sex workers, as I believe we must call them these days. Note to legal. This is not disrespectful to the brand. It's disrespectful to whores, if anything. But a liqueur chocolate out of fashion since the young decided that the only way to sample alcohol was to drink 9 bottles of blue synthetic gunk and hurl up their innards into the nearest hedge, or, if that's not available, my doorstep, is an overlooked pleasure. For once, the dark chocolate is appropriate, as it does not jar too strongly with the sharper taste of alcohol within, both held back from one another by a delicate, candied mesh that melts on the tongue, then vanishes, allowing the inner warmth of the spirit and the outer of the chocolate to join one another in a transcendent depth of strength and of flavor. Cherry is the best, followed by raspberry. Honey is to be avoided at all costs. If you can't handle your drink, leave well alone. I thought that one was so funny because it literally made my ears perk. I was like, what? Like, made for whores, by whores, and bought by professional whores. Like, did not expect Lillian to be writing like that. But I thought it was cute. I don't know if you've ever had a chocolate liqueur candy.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not a whore.
Well, no, I'm kidding.
I've had one. And they are quite good, but they're hard. I would say the one that I've had, they're very hard to eat because you bite into them and then like the liquid like literally falls out. And so you can't really like enjoy it because you're like trying to make sure you're not getting messy. And so I must be eating the wrong chocolate liqueurs. But the taste is definitely, I mean, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought they were good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's see here. Let's go back up a little bit. And we have crisps and chips. I think that was confusing is talking about he's leaving a packet of crisp and scampi. And in the UK, you always get scampi with chips. It's like a law or something. Yeah. I definitely think that he's an idiot anyways. I don't like crisps or chips, as we call them here. But I would eat chips or fries with anything. Like, I love fries / chips. So good.
I just like potatoes in any way, shape, or form. I'm not picky. I will eat
I'm
potatoes
Irish German, so yeah, potatoes in anything anyway. Yeah. Debbie loved Edison. Like Rosie went to the door, warned her that she's not going to let Yes. Yeah, like I'm gonna call CPS because you're like, what the heck? Like when he was just roaming around, like because he didn't want to go into the dentist. I was like, what? Like having her take like him to the market is one thing, but like leaving him to like wander around to go to the dentist, a dentist who most definitely would have probably said he had cavities if Rosie wasn't sitting there. Yeah. Yes, we did. We loved Edison. I'm really hoping he's in the next book because I'll probably listen to the next two because they're, satisfying. So I really hope he's in them because he's super cute. Yeah.
I can look right now if you want to look.
Yeah. And then the sex worker chocolate. I'm sure she's talking about Ferrero Rocher.
Do they have
that
liquors? I only know them as the balls.
Well, sex workers do deal with balls.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah. But not with liquor, which also sounds inappropriate.
Liqueur. Just say liqueur. That's too funny. Okay, we're getting a little bit racy here. Need to nip that in the bud.
Yeah.
Castrate that. Okay. Anywho, so any other topics we wanted to chat about with this book? I know it being a romance novel-ish, it's like, I would call it like women's lit, chick lit romance. Yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't remember who said it earlier, but I wasn't like Rosie wasn't I wasn't a big fan of her, but she didn't bother me really. Like it wasn't like, oh, I can't stand this person, but she just wasn't my favorite. I didn't like who she ended up with, so I just don't like nurse patient thing, doctor patient. I don't like that. I never have. I feel like it's always very, I don't know. It's weird.
Like the lines are too blurry for you, ethically.
Yeah. But I like that it was surprising to me because I thought it was going to be between the other two. And I thought it was going to be some kind of like love triangle thing. And then I was like, what the heck are they going to do with this Gerard guy? Because I don't want it to be like an affair situation either, like that she's cheating on him. So, I mean, that was nice that she like broke up with him before she started anything with anybody else. And I like that it was someone unexpected, so to speak. And I really liked getting to know the other people in town, honestly. Edison really was a big factor for me. I knew that Ruben was going to be a imaginary friend. I just didn't feel like that was a real person.
And the kind of kid that Edison is too, any imaginary friend of his wouldn't have a name like Mike. It would be Ruben. It would be a name like that would be imaginary, because that's his world, is a little more unusual things, grown up things.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about chocolate with something on the inside.
Oh, gotcha.
I feel like Cadbury could probably pull off a chocolate liqueur, but I don't think they have.
Not that I
I
know
used
of,
to have, I wonder if I still have, and this is going to be really bad that I even have this like stuck in my drawer, but I used to have some dark liqueur chocolate that my mom gave me. Oh yeah, look at this. I can't believe I still have these. So I do still have these little, they look like little bottles.
Yeah.
And this one's called Grand Marnier. So it's Grand Marnier liquor. Literally says alcohol 5% on the bottom here. Oh, it says max alcohol 5%. But yeah, I haven't eaten them because they're so weird. And then this
You
one,
better eat those, girl. Before they go bad.
I've had these for a really long time. They've just been sitting in my drawer over here for I don't know why. And then this one's Remy Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Weird. Maybe I will eat these.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think these have been sitting in my drawer like from before I met my husband. And we'll be going on what, 8 years this year? 9 years? 8. I think it's 8 years. So if I get sick, you know what it's from. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's all. Do you have any other last comments about Jenny Colgan?
No, I'm glad we read her. I'm glad that everyone liked her for the most part, at least gave her a shot. I will for sure be reading the next 2 in the series because I already own them, and like I said, she's one of my comfort authors. I would have already read them both, but I didn't want to confuse myself any more than I knew I would have been confused because it was so long since I finished the book. So I'll for sure read more. After I do that, I'm probably going to go back to read one of her standalones. She did standalones first and then went into several different trilogies. And now there's like 4 and 5 in a couple different series. But I want to see what her standalones are like. They're also earlier, so they may be more dated and chick litty, you know? This is what, 10 years old or more? 15? So I'll see. But yeah, I'm glad we read her. I'm glad most people liked it and gave it a shot. Yeah, it's just easy reading. An escape from life. How about you? Any last thoughts?
No, I think like you, I'll probably read the next 2 because they're available on audio. And actually, a lot of her books are available on audio on my Hoopla account. So I have physically the bookshop on the corner, so I think I might read that at some point. But yeah, I'm glad that I finally was able to read some of her work, and yeah, nice kind of like book to just read when you're just trying to read something good, like easy and comforting and, you know, just simple. So yeah. But for next month, we're excited to jump into an author that I've read before. So very good. Excited for this. I don't really know what to expect because I have tried really hard not to pay attention to the show when it was out. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this is all about. So if you're joining us, this is our August book, and we'll be doing reading sprints later in the month because as of tomorrow, we'll be kind of shut down for a little bit on our Etsy shop as well as us here on the YouTube channel. So yeah, let's see. There is a well-known ad for Ferrero Rocher in the UK when I was growing up, which I'm sure Colgan was thinking of. Okay. And then what's your favorite Colgan, Laura?
Oh, I don't know if I have one. As a series, I really liked the Little Beach Street Bakery series. That's how I got started with her work, actually. I got the first book in the series as an advanced reader's copy probably over 10 years ago. And just was like, oh, I've seen this name before, but wasn't too sure, but loved it. So that series I like. And then the bookshop on the corner that you have, Dani, that's probably what was a standalone when I read it, I think, and now is part of a series. But yeah.
Okay.
Don't feel like you have to, but you know.
Yeah.
Gonna check
Okay,
your brain
friends. Yeah. Well, we will be kind of gone for a little bit now, so we hope you're all reading something great and, you know, taking care of yourself, staying safe, of course, and you know,
we'll have
kind of
voting up
catch you on the other
soon.
side.
Don't forget to
Yeah.
vote.
Yes, don't forget to vote. But till then, thank you all for all of your kind words and prayers and whatnot for us. We're going into this week. I'm a little, I don't know. We'll see. I'm getting more and more anxiety filled the closer we get, but I'm sure it'll be okay. It'll take some time for healing, but I'm sure once we're home, everything will be okay. And we'll be able to kind of start living our best lives because we won't have to do all of the stuff that we're currently doing with baby G. So hopefully we'll get some more normalcy. And it'll be coming into the fall maybe, so it'll be nice outside. Not so hot. But okay, friends, well, I think that's it for the time being. And thank you very much, Allie. And we'll talk to you guys all later. So, good night.
Bye, everybody.